Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel, all of you beautiful beings of light. We are here studying the lessons of A Course in Miracles, and we are on lesson number 166, and my book is upside down. I am entrusted with the gifts of God. So today I decided to climb up on this deer stand that I found out here in the forest and do my video from up here. So as much as the lesson today is I am entrusted with the gifts of God, I am up here on this thing and I am trusting the universe that it's okay for me to be up here. It doesn't feel like it's been used for a while, but I'm all hooked up with my little equipment and stuff, and we're gonna go through this lesson together up here on this thing. So I hope y'all are having a good day. This is a great lesson. Get ready to get tuned in, and hopefully I don't fall down. I will not. I know I'm not going to. This is perfect. Everything is beautiful. All right, lesson 166. I am entrusted with the gifts of God, even up on somebody else's tree stand. All things are given you. God's trust in you is limitless. He knows his son. He gives without exception, holding nothing back that can contribute to your happiness. And yet, unless your will is one with his gifts are not received. But what would make you think there is another will than his? Here is the paradox that underlies the making of the world. The world is not the will of God, and so it is not real. Yet those who think it is real still believe there is another will, and one that leads to opposite effects from those he wills. Impossible indeed, but every mind that looks upon the world and judges it as certain, solid, trustworthy, and true believes in two creators or in one, himself alone, but never in God. And this is a great lesson because it really gets into that paradox of what we struggle with is actually waking up to the realization that this world is an illusion, it is a dream. And there's so many things about ourselves and our story that we're attached to, and we're afraid to let it go because God's will is more in our hearts and in our minds and in the energy, not in what our bodies look like, what success we've had in our careers, how much money is in our bank account, how tidy our home is. Things of that nature. Like we're comparing ourselves and busying ourselves with things that are not related to the gifts of God. So this is going to be one of those lessons that makes you go, damn it. The gifts of God are not acceptable to anyone who holds such strange beliefs. He must believe that to accept God's gifts, however evident they may become, however urgently he may be called to claim them as his own, is to be pressed to treachery against himself. He must deny their presence, contradict the truth, and suffer to preserve the world he made. Here is the only home he thinks he knows. Here is the only safety he believes that he can find. Without the world he made, is he an outcast, homeless and afraid. He does not realize that it is here he is afraid indeed, and homeless too, an outcast wandering so far from home, so long away, he does not realize he has forgotten where he came from, where he goes, and even who he really is. Yet in his lonely, senseless wanderings, God's gifts go with him, all unknown to him. He cannot lose them, but he will not look at what is given him. He wanders on, aware of the futility he sees about him everywhere, perceiving how his little lot but dwindles as he goes ahead to nowhere. Still he wanders on in misery and poverty, alone though God is with him, and a treasure his so great that everything the world contains is valueless before its magnitude. He seems a sorry figure, weary, worn in threadbare clothing, and with feet that bleed a little from the rocky road he walks. No one but has identified with him, for everyone who comes here has pursued the path he follows and has felt defeat and hopelessness as he is feeling them. Yet, is he really tragic when you see that he is following the way he chose and need but realize who walks with him and open up his treasures to be free? This is your chosen self, the one you made as a replacement for reality. This is the self you savagely defend against all reason, every evidence, and all the witnesses with proof to show this is not you. You heed them not. You go on your appointed way with eyes cast down, lest you might catch a glimpse of truth and be released from self-deception and set free. So that's a pretty sharp finger being pointed at us right here. This is your chosen self. So this is our personality matrix, our reputation, our you better respect me kind of mentality, when the truth is that we don't really believe in the beauty and the depth and the story of just a soul that we are, and we expect other people to congratulate us on all of our successes, our worldly successes, and yet we still hold on to this unhappiness, unworthiness, sadness, depression, still seeking things outside of ourselves to make us feel good because we don't believe the truth about who we are. And this is, again, a lesson more or less in duality. We don't understand the non-dual way of living because we think we're here in bodies having these experiences, but it's all that dualistic chatter that the ego keeps sending into our minds. Keep trying, keep getting better. You're almost there. Not quite good enough. Keep going. You could be doing more. Are you taking a rest? Are you stopping? What's your problem? Right? Or how about other things that are happening in the world that you know about and you're doing nothing about? Why are you just sitting there? Why can't you help people? Why can't you yada, yada, yada? All right. You cower fearfully, lest you should feel Christ's touch upon your shoulder and perceive his gentle hand directing you to look upon your gifts. How could you then proclaim your poverty in exile? He would make you laugh at this perception of yourself. Where is self-pity then? And what becomes of all the tragedy you sought to make for him whom God intended only joy? Your ancient fear has come upon you now, and justice has caught up with you at last. Christ's hand has touched your shoulder, and you feel that you are not alone. Oh, okay. So now we're starting to open our minds and our hearts here in this part of the lesson. You even think the miserable self you thought was you may not be your identity. Oh, perhaps God's word is truer than your own. Perhaps his gifts to you are real. Perhaps he has not wholly been outwitted by your plan to keep his son in deep oblivion and go the way you chose without yourself. God's will does not oppose, it merely is. It is not God you have imprisoned in your plan to lose yourself. He does not know about a plan so alien to his will. There was a need he did not understand, to which he gave an answer. That is all. And you who have this answer given you have need no more of anything but this. Now do we live, for we cannot die. The wish for death is answered, and the sight that locked upon it now has been replaced by vision, which perceives that you are not what you pretend to be. One walks with you, who gently answers all your fears with this one merciful reply. It is not so. He points to all the gifts you have each time the thought of poverty oppresses you, and speaks of his companionship when you receive yourself as lonely and afraid. Yet he reminds you still of one thing more you had forgotten, for his touch on you has made you like himself. The gifts you have are not for you alone. What he has come to offer you, you now must learn to give. This is the lesson that his giving holds, for he has saved you from the solitude you sought to make in which to hide from God. He has reminded you of all the gifts that God has given you. He speaks as well of what becomes your will when you accept these gifts and recognize they are your own. The gifts are yours, entrusted to your care, to give to all who chose the lonely road you have escaped. They do not understand, they but pursue their wishes. It is you who teach them now, For you have learned of Christ, there is another way for them to walk. Teach them by showing them the happiness that comes to those who feel the touch of Christ and recognize God's gifts. Let sorrow not tempt you to be unfaithful to your trust. Your sighs will now betray the hopes of those who look to you for their release. Your tears are theirs. If you are sick, you but withhold their healing. What you fear but teaches them their fears are justified. Your hand becomes the giver of Christ's touch. Your change of mind becomes the proof that who accepts God's gifts can never suffer anything. You are entrusted with the world's release from pain. Betray it not. Become the living proof of what Christ's touch can offer everyone. God has entrusted all his gifts to you. Be witness in your happiness to how transformed the mind becomes which chooses to accept his gifts and feel the touch of Christ. Such is your mission now, for God entrusts the giving of his gifts to all who have received them. He has shared his joy with you, and now you go to share it with the world. Line that I want to reread here is, where is it? Your sighs will now betray the hopes of those who look to you for their release. Your tears are theirs. If you are sick, you but withhold their healing. What you fear teaches them their fears are justified. Your hand becomes the giver of Christ's touch. Your change of mind becomes the proof that who accepts God's gifts can never suffer anything. I think that's a huge point of the Course in Miracles, your change of mind. And that is something that it's a combination of energy that you emit and also words that you're brave enough to speak. What have you changed your mind about? What specifically has this course guided you toward, and what is the new path that you're on? I mean, I don't think I have it all settled. Even watching all the near-death experience videos, I don't have it all settled that I totally understand the process, but it's more and more apparent to me that all of the bad feelings that I've had in my life, I have manufactured because I believed in this idea of required suffering and required hard work and required sacrifice that is part of the narrative of our world. So those things I've changed my mind about, and I'm letting go of my need for external validation and external, people just telling me, hey, Sherry, it seems like you did well or whatever. It's like, I don't need that anymore. I need to just stay in the present moment, feel what's the energy that's moving through me, and listen for guidance about what's to come. And all the other things that happen around me, I have to acknowledge participating in the creation of, yet I don't have to jump on and ride a ride of drama ever again. So I guess today is a good day to think about what has changed in your mind about, how you see the world, how you treat others, how you interact with the problems that you had before you started doing the course. Because for me, it's just, I absolutely cannot overlook any of my thoughts in my mind now. And the more and more that I pay attention to what the near-death experience videos are saying, it's just reminding me what the course is teaching us, that the only things that are real are things that we can't reach out and touch, like this awesome tree that I'm hanging out with right now. It's beautiful, but it's gonna die. Everything in this realm will die in order for this thing to continue. So there is no death in God's plan for salvation. Yet here we are on the planet Earth, and there are these beautiful trees and all of us and our little bodies. All these things are destined to perish. However, the essence of us never dies. And that is the thing that I believe in. So when we're talking about I'm entrusted with the gifts of God, it's the gift for me is an awakening mind that realizes that I'm sharing in a uncomfortable way sometimes what I believe to be true, because I know that this is part of my journey here. This is part of my what I've chosen to do, is speak about these things that I can't even totally explain or prove or validate, but it just feels, it resonates as truth. And the more that I dive into these teachings, the smoother my life is, the better things are, the more easier it is to understand what was my part in this most recent incident of Sherry Oler's life. So hopefully that's happening for you and you're enjoying these lessons, really contemplating some deep stuff out there. And you know, maybe you can find a rickety old tree stand to climb up onto and make a video, or just tell somebody like, hey, look what I just did. Because I trust in God. I don't believe I'm my body, and I'm gonna do whatever I want and just live this life to the fullest. Lots of love to all of you out there. Enjoy your day today. Enjoy this lesson. Love you very much, and I will see you again on the next video.